Welcome to Brother Interviews. What's the story?
Today we interviewed Father Brian, our local parish priest.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is episode 14, and like, subscribe, and see you in the next video. Hello, Father Brian. Welcome to Brother Interviews. My name's Alex.
How are you, Alex? How are you doing?
My name's Ashton.
Ashton, how are you doing, man?
Hello, Father Brian. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the parish where you serve in?
Okay. Well, I am the parish priest here at the moment in St Michans parish here in Halston Street, and of course, you know, this school, of course, is part of the parish, St Paul's, North Brunswick Street, and we also have the other school, Presentation Primary School in George's Hill. And I suppose one of the first things I like to kind of tell people about this parish is, and I only discovered it when I became parish priest back in 2010, was my great-grandparents on my mum's side, my grandmother actually was from this parish, and I found that out by looking at some of the baptismal records. So I feel very much, not just a parish priest, but also I feel very much that it's almost like my family began here.
I remember you helped me name John.
That's right, yeah. We've a lot of very good neighbours, and you know, a lot of neighbours and relations, especially the nanas, do come to the church from time to time, and we're able to kind of, you know, to meet up with them and to kind of catch up with people. And it's a great way also of getting to know families, neighbours, and also to know about where they came from and their story in the parish too. So yeah, I do. I remember that day all right.
Whereabouts in Dublin did you grow up?
I grew up in lots of places. Actually, some of the people that kind of ask me those questions, they kind of go, seriously? Because I was born in the Coombe Hospital on the south side, as somebody said to me one time, between the canals, the Grand Canal and the Royal Canal. But my mum and dad, when they got married, moved to Santry, which is out on the north side, near, not too far from the airport. That's probably where I got my love of aeroplanes. Big aeroplane fan I am, a big plane spotter. But we lived then for a while in Kimmage, and that's where I started school. I started school on the Marist Clogher Road, and then we moved to Kilnamanagh, and then to Rialto, where I made my confirmation in James's Street, and back to Kilnamanagh again, where I began secondary school. So yeah, lived a few places.
Is it a hard job being a priest, moving from church to church?
Funnily enough now, what I just said to you there, we do get moved, as you say, from church to church, and that can be hard. But I wonder, maybe because I moved around and my family moved around a lot growing up, I wonder, was it perhaps getting me used to being moved a bit in the religious life? It is hard. And it gets harder as you get older, because, you know, you make friends and you put down roots, and that can be hard. It can be sort of sad too, because when you make good friends and you have to say goodbye to them. Now, do you really say goodbye to people anymore with kind of, you know, social media and with Skype and things like that? You know, maybe you don't, but you know, it is hard getting moved around, you know, and uprooting, clearing out a room, moving your stuff, moving into a new place. But you meet new people, and that makes it worthwhile.
At what age did you become a priest?
Well, now, I was ordained, I was nearly 28 years old. I was ordained in 1997, on the 8th of June 1997, in the parish church where I spent most of my teenage years, St Kevin's Parish in Kilnamanagh. That's the famous St Kevin's monastery, the first monastery of St Kevin of Glendalough. He went from Kilnamanagh to Glendalough. And I was ordained, as I said, in 1997. I was nearly 28, but I had done 10 years of study before that. So I joined when I was just 18. So I kind of had 10 years of study and training before I became a priest.
Okay.
Is it hard being what do you do on a daily basis aside from being a priest?
Mostly we begin by praying. We pray at 7:30 in the morning. We have some private prayer time, and then we pray together. There's 3 or 4 other brothers in the house. There's actually 5 of us, and we have morning prayer together. Then some of the brothers have Mass together. But because I'm a parish priest and I say Mass in the church, the public church, I wait and say Mass at 10 o'clock. Then we gather for lunch about 1 o'clock, and then I go back to the parish office in the afternoon. And then we gather again at 5:30 and 5:45 for our meditation and evening prayer. And then in the evening then there'll be some things to do at the parish. Like last evening, for example, now I met four people, two couples from Brazil who live in the area who are preparing to get married. So we have to do their papers and we have to meet them and get their certificates and things like that organised. So that's what I did yesterday evening. This evening is Wednesday, so I'm going to my mum's this evening. I usually go up to see my mother and father on a Wednesday evening and spend a bit of time with them. Yesterday morning now, for example, I was with one of the other brothers. I had to catch up with him, and then I went to visit a man in the parish who hasn't been so well, so I went to visit him yesterday morning. So different days might do different things, but we have a standard format that we follow as brothers in the church. Brothers because I belong to the Capuchin Franciscan order, so even though I'm a priest, we kind of refer to each other as brothers. And so some of the other brothers in the community, we meet 3 or 4 times a day to pray and to eat together and to have time together in the community, you know.
The Pope visited Ireland last year, and
That's
you
right.
actually got to meet him.
I did.
Can you tell us a bit about the experience?
It was a wonderful experience. It's not every day you meet the Pope. He's a world famous. He's a world leader. He's probably one of the most famous people in the world. I mean, if you think about the President of the United States or the Prime Minister of England, or if you think of any of the big soccer stars, big sports stars, that will be well known all over the world. The Pope, obviously, everybody knows who Pope Francis is. So it was an absolute joy to meet Pope Francis. And really, how it happened was, Brother Kevin does a lot of work. Actually, just came from Brother Kevin's there. I was talking to him for a while. I was telling him I was coming up here. Brother Kevin does a lot of work in the area with homeless and homeless families, and it's probably homeless families that are, at this moment, the things we need to kind of work on the most to try and bring that to an end, and trying to find homes and find housing for people. But the Archbishop of Dublin has been to visit the day centre, and the Archbishop would know Pope Francis very well. And the Archbishop had been, in the lead into the visit, the Archbishop had been saying, it's a place I'd love you to come and see when you come for the World Meeting of Families. So Pope Francis, of course, has a real love for care of the homeless and care of the poor and care of those who are not as fortunate. So Pope Francis wanted to see the day centre, especially the area in the centre, which has a seating area and a dining area for homeless families and for homeless children.
Did Pope Francis get to go into your church, or?
He didn't come into the parish church, but he came into the parish, because the day centre, Capuchin Day Centre, is in the parish of St Michans, and so is the Capuchin Friary, and so is the schools here, and so is the Legion of Mary place nearby. So I was invited as a parish priest, and I was introduced to the Pope as a parish priest, and so it was a great honour, and he shook hands with me. He didn't say anything to me, he just smiled, and I just said, "Welcome, Your Holiness," and even just meeting him and shaking hands and then spending time and hearing, because he said some lovely things about what the Capuchins do in the Capuchin Day Centre for Homeless, and also he said some lovely things to the homeless people, which was lovely to be there to see and to hear.
Can you speak English, or did you have to translate?
He understands English. If you speak very slowly, he'll understand it. But he feels himself he's not that good at English. But he spoke that day in Italian, and one of the assistants, a Monsignor, who is from Gibraltar actually, which is down in the south of Spain. It's part of the English outreach, and so he translated for the Pope. And so whenever the Pope spoke a couple of sentences, he would have it translated into English.
So what do you think is the best part of your job and the worst part?
Best part of my job is doing something like this. The best part of my job is meeting people, even informally, like even just on the street, saying how are you to somebody. What's the story? You know what I mean? Meet people. Like, for example, one of the days I was down Moore Street. It was actually around Christmas, and I was coming down by Moore Street, and I had all their stalls, their Christmas stalls out, and one of the women, one of the dealers said, "Would you bless me stall?" And I blessed the stall, and I had the holy water, and from there I was asked to bless about 10 other stalls, and I went along blessing all the stalls. I loved that. I thought that was wonderful, you know. The worst part, I think meeting maybe very sick people and trying to kind of just help people sometimes, sit with them and you know, support them in their sickness. Like I visited recently a child who was quite ill, and it's very sad and it's very hard to see a child sick and a child suffering. So that would be one of the harder things I have to do. But again, it's lovely to be asked to be part of people's day and people's life.
Do you and the other priests have arguments over who's doing the mass?
Sometimes we have arguments when they can't do the mass. Like for example, we wouldn't have arguments, but I mean, I might
disagree with them.
Huh?
You might disagree with them.
Oh yeah, oh God, yeah, but you're only human. We all have disagreements at times. Like I was on the phone to a priest there one evening, and I was kind of hoping he would cover the mass the following day because I wanted to go and see some people, and he rang me up and he said to me, listen, I'm not going to be able to do that mass now. Something else came up for me, so I had to come all the way back in and do the mass, and I was kind of going, oh, you know, and I'm going to have to kind of reschedule now and all. So little things like that, you know, can be a little bit upsetting, but you know, that's not unique to me. Everybody has those days, don't they?
Yeah.
But we would have disagreements. Like I love Man United, and one of the other guys loves Spurs. So the other day, like when United beat Spurs 1-0 away in Wembley, I mean, you know, he was kind of going, yeah, it's just a lucky, you know, you're just lucky now, but that luck won't last. And I was kind of going, yeah, it will, of course it will, because we're United. So they're the kind of things we have disagreements about, you know, sometimes. And like for example, in the friary now, you know, there's a lot of Capuchins from Cork, and when Cork are playing in hurling or football, they don't like being beaten. So if Tip beat Cork, or if Leitrim beat Cork, or if Dublin beat Cork, or if Wexford beat Cork, like Davy Fitz now will not want Cork to win in anything. Yeah. Or, you know, Brian Cody will not want Cork to win in anything. Or, you know, so there's a bit of banter about that kind of stuff.
If you weren't a priest, what job would you like to do?
Do you know, I don't know what else I'd like to do. I thought I'd be a pilot one time. I liked airplanes, and I took some flying lessons. When I was thinking about joining the order, I was also into art and drawing. So I wondered, would I make it as kind of a commercial artist, or you know, a designer or something like that. But I really haven't thought too much about any other career, because I don't know if I'd be absolutely happy doing anything else than what I'm doing. I love working in parish. I love meeting people. I love you know, praying for people, and so I don't necessarily think I'd be interested in any other kind of life. I don't know what else I'd do. I think I'd be like a fish out of water. I think I'd just, God, what am I going to, you know? So a good question, but I think that this is the one for me. You know.
Me and the 6th class boys have our confirmation coming up. Have you got any advice on that?
Your confirmation is coming up on the 8th, isn't it? 8th of March. And I am ready very soon to get a letter from the Archbishop to tell me who's going to come and administer the sacrament of confirmation, because usually somebody comes in from outside. So I'll get that letter. Have I any advice? Well, one of the first things I'd advise you to do is to remember it, because one of the things you will always remember is your confirmation day. I still remember my confirmation day in James Street Parish Church on the 6th of March 1982, and I had a brown suit, a velvet brown blazer and brown shoes, and I looked the business. And I remember my nana sponsored me. My nana, who is now in heaven, she died in 1991. She was my sponsor, and her mother, what I was telling you about earlier, was from the parish, and Nana grew up in the parish when she was a small girl. My Nana was born in 1916, so my Nana now would be 102 if she was alive, nearly 103. Yeah. So my Nana sponsored me, so I'll never forget that. So one of the things I really enjoy it and remember it, and you know, have you picked a name for your confirmation?
No, we didn't.
You didn't pick a name yet, but you're going to have to pick a confirmation name.
No, we didn't get asked.
You didn't get asked?
No.
But, you know, I'm asking you now, pick a confirmation name. Because the bishop or whoever's going to confirm you is going to say your first name and your confirmation name. So I'd pick a name, okay? I'd also advise you to to enjoy it, because I know you're going to get a few bob, because everybody gets gifts, especially, you know, money gifts, and that's nice and it's important. But long after the money runs out, you'll still have the gifts of the Holy Spirit, gifts of wisdom and understanding and right judgment and knowledge and wonder and awe, all those great gifts that the Holy Spirit gives, which maybe you don't feel when they happen, but you know what happens is people spot them and see them in different ways. They come out in different ways, like as a mature person, as a friendly person, as a kind person, as a fair person. You know, all these things would be manifested, would be shown in how you grow up and how you... look, lads, I've no doubt about you. I think you'll have a great day. I'm just hoping the weather will be nice. I'm looking forward to it, actually, yeah. You know, it'll be a big day. It's always a big day in the parish. Confirmations and First Communions are two of the biggest days we have in the parish, and I always look forward to them. It's a bit of work to be done. Actually, Robert was only saying to me this morning in the church after Mass, because we wear the gowns during the ceremony. So he's getting them ready for you. So you'll be able to be measured up in those gowns now. We'll be in touch with you about them.
What are your interests outside the religious work?
Love music. Love U2. I love Coldplay. I love old school hip hop, like Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, and I love a band from Liverpool called the Beatles. Probably heard of them, have you? I love airplanes. I spot planes. I have my airband radio, and I have a couple of good cameras which I got presents of, and I take some pictures of airplanes. I try and go out. These days it's hard to go out sometimes in the afternoons, because I'll be busy sometimes in the afternoons, and it's a bit dark in the evening still, but I'm looking forward to the spring coming in now, be able to go out in the evenings and spot some planes. Some of the big aircraft go out in the evenings, like there's a big Cathay Pacific which goes out to China, and there's also the Emirates, the big Emirates Boeing 777 goes out to Dubai. So I'd love to get pictures of those, and the Aer Lingus ones, of course, coming in. Actually, I took 2 pictures of an Aer Lingus Airbus going out to Chicago the other day in the afternoon, and the light was fantastic, just the way I took the picture with my phone, actually. And Aer Lingus retweeted the tweet. I put it up on Twitter, and Aer Lingus themselves said, "Great shots, Brian." So I was deadly brilliant, you know. So I love music. I love aeroplanes. I love if I get a chance, I love to watch a bit of Man United on Sky. Sometimes though, some of the Premiership games are on when Mass is on, so I haven't been able to get to see them. So I have to kind of get somebody to tip me off about the score now and again, you know.
Record it.
I could record it, but you see, some of the other brothers in the community don't like Man United, and sometimes one of them doesn't like soccer. He likes to watch the History Channel, so you know we have to kind of scramble for the TV, you know.
Yeah. Do you always have to wear your robe in church?
No, I wear the we call it the habit, robe is another word for it. Yeah, I wear it like coming to schools, and I wear it out and about when I'm kind of on duty and things like that. But I'll take it off this evening now when I go up to see the mum and the sisters, you know, and I'll just wear my own ordinary clothes, like you know, a pair of runners and a pair of jeans or whatever like that, and a shirt, whatever, you know, t-shirts. Yes, they're doing great, by the way, lads, I have to say. I've done a few interviews like this, but this is very enjoyable, I have to say. And nice, best chairs I've ever sat in for an interview, so congratulations to everybody here.
Do you find it hard not to cry at friends and everything?
I do sometimes cry. I don't dissolve into tears and sob, but I remember about a year after I became parish priest. I'm going back to 2010, so it was 2011. There were 3 younger people died in the space of 2 weeks in the parish. You know, they were all kind of in their 30s and 40s, which, you know, they were only just kind of getting started in life. You know, they were all just only into adulthood and just beginning to kind of, you know, their lives were really just, you know, they were really living quality lives, and they hadn't, one or two of them hadn't been well. And I did all 3 funerals, and I was with all 3 families, and I found that very, very, very difficult. And you know, I still ask questions about it, like in the sense that why did it have to happen? And I wonder how the family are. And I know them, and I meet them now and again, and it was a great honour to be part of what was very sad occasions. You know, that the family trusted me to say the prayers for these people and say the Mass. And you know, I sometimes get sad and upset when I see, you know, sickness, and especially when, you know, in my own family, my niece was very ill for a while, and I was very sad about that. Now she's well again, thank God, And we were worried about her, but she's tough now, and she's great, and she's well, and all my family, thank God, are well. And but there's sometimes like even priests get upset and get sad, and we wipe the tears away from our eyes as well. I was recently watching a video that my brother-in-law took. My sister had a baby boy recently, and they have a girl of 5. They have a 5-year-old, and now they have a new baby. And looking at my niece holding her little brother in her arms was very, very beautiful. And I actually got a little tear there, I did, watching that, and seeing her rubbing his leg and kind of looking at him breathing and looking at his face. And it was a fascinating thing to see. This little one of 5 looking at her little brother and meeting him for the first time after he was born. So beautiful. And that made me cry a little bit. But all my other family members, or my sisters, were roaring and crying looking at it too. So, I think it's... Somebody said one time that tears are the best holy water of all.
Would you be allowed the Christian, I think, the baby?
Oh, I will, please God, yeah. I've christened all my nieces and nephews. I christened my first nephew. He's in 6th year now. He's 17. So he's in 5th year. He's in 5th year. And I christened his sister, and I christened his youngest sister, who's 7, and then my own sister has 2 children now, and I christened the 5-year-old, and I'm going to christen, please God, the baby. But she's a bit small yet, so he's a bit small, so he gets a bit older. Maybe in a few months, 3-4 months old now, we'll plan a big day, and please God, we'll have it in the parish maybe, or somewhere, wherever they want. I'll travel wherever they want me to christen the baby. I'll do it.
You work with Brother Kevin in the day centre. We visited the centre before Christmas and we saw all the bags of food. Tell us what happens with the food.
Well, actually, the Christmas hampers, there was nearly 2,500 Christmas hampers packed. I was there. I helped them pack some of them, all right. And those hampers went everywhere with people for people who needed a little bit of extra help in terms of their Christmas shopping and in terms of their Christmas food, because like everybody, has a good day at Christmas mostly, and spends time with family and eats Christmas dinner and that. So these were provisions in the bags to help people, have a Christmas dinner. So there was meats, there was chicken, there was sausages, there was rashers. But in the other hamper, then there was things like tins of peas. There was soups. There was tea bags, bread, butter. There was also cereals and things like that. There was juice. So there was two fairly good hampers to give to each person. Today now, on Wednesday, they give about 1,500 to 1,700 hampers out on the door, and again like that, there'd be just the provisions, non-perishables, cereals, groceries, that kind of stuff. And it does help because, as I said, there are people who maybe don't have an awful lot of money, so a bag of groceries is a huge help to the household, and anybody can find themselves in need. Anybody can find themselves just needing a little bit of extra help for that time, and especially homeless people and homeless families, so we do our best. And it's thanks to people like you, and it's thanks to people who donate, that Brother Kevin is able to do that. So well done.
Did anyone inspire you to be a priest?
Padre Pio, actually, this old Capuchin monk who died in the 1960s, a very holy, saintly Capuchin who died. He was an Italian Capuchin who died in the 1960s. Padre Pio, my nana used to like him, and she used to have pictures of him, and she used to say, he's a very holy saint, that's Padre Pio. He inspired me to be a Capuchin. And then a Capuchin came to visit my school when I was in school, and I was very, very fascinated by the habit he wore and the outfit. And I was kind of going, wow, because it's not something you see every day. So that I think also inspired me. But as I joined the order and as I went along, I was also continued to be inspired to be a Capuchin, and continue to be inspired to this day.
What do you think is a simple Christmas Christian message that we can all do to live happier and lives and get on better with people around us?
simply, the way to be happy is to think of others first. To think of others first. I mean, and the only way I can describe that is, I know it's January and I think people are kind of tired after Christmas, but I always use the idea of Santa Claus. Santa Claus is always happy. You never see a sad Santa. Santa Claus is always giving. That's why he's always happy. So it seems to me that if you want to be happy, give. Think of others first. So I think the simple and it's a message not just for Christians, because of course in this country we have Jewish people and we have Muslim people and we have people of other faiths like Sikhs and Buddhists and even non-Christians, people even who don't believe necessarily. But I think the secret to happiness is to think of others. And in fact, every single religion, and especially the Islam and Judaism and Christianity and Buddhism and Hinduism, all say the same thing. Treat others as you would like them to treat you. That's the golden rule. Treat others as you would like them to treat you. I think that's the secret to happiness. For Christians, of course, Jesus Christ has told us to love one another. And again, that's a similar message, that the more we love one another, the more we serve one another, the more we're kind to one another, the more we do good things for others, the happier we will be. Do you see?
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming to our school today for the interview.
Thanks very much, lads. I appreciate being invited, and as I said again, congratulations on this interview. Yeah, fair play, Yves. Well done, lads. Thanks very much.
Thank you.